Now, several organizations have come together to solve the problem of hunger in communities. They're also addressing the challenge of food wastage in restaurants. The group is made up of more than 300 chefs, restaurant owners and volunteers. Let's discuss some of the projects they've been involved with. We're joined by Steve Marelsch from Chefs with Compassion. Stephen, good evening. It's a pleasure to have you with us on News at Prime tonight. Firstly, just tell us about this project. It sounds like an absolutely great initiative.
Well, it came about out of realizing that there was a need, and the need was growing rapidly. And as a restaurant not being able to trade, we figured that the way we could make a difference was to get together, and Chefs with Compassion was started also under the umbrella of the South African Chefs Association. And that was the idea was to get restaurant kitchens working. When the lights are turned off and you want to get things going, it's not always easy. But with this excuse, it's been fantastic.
And let's just talk about how some of these projects are being run. So what does a typical day look like?
Well, we've got volunteers that arrive at 9 to 9:30. Volunteers choose their own times. And then we get them chopping, and we get them understanding what they can and can't use. So it's a bit of training involved. We've coerced some of our own staff to get involved as well. So it's wonderful teamwork. And then we just sort of see what arrives from the local market. So there are scouts that go out and they see what they can reuse. Not reuse, but use, like overripe vegetables, etc. It might just be a lettuce with the outer leaf not looking fantastic, so they can't sell it. So we sometimes get lucky like that. We also have donors that would just arrive. We've had a hunter arriving with a whole buck. So the volunteers would get involved with cutting it up, and we've had a cow donated. We get potatoes donated from farmers in the Free State. So it is just really seeing what happens. That's then processed and put into big pots. There's always a starch, which is inevitably a pup or a rice or a samp. And then we boil those massive pots up, flavor them up as much as we possibly can. The food's actually quite delicious, I must say. And then the NGOs arrive just after lunch with buckets. We fill up the buckets for them, and then they go out to the various distribution hubs where they distribute the food.
What does it mean for you guys to be able to keep some level of activity? Because we know that during the various lockdowns, of course, you have been shut, but just being able to wake up and go and make a difference in somebody else's life.
Absolutely. I mean, when you say things are life-changing, with lockdown, we sort of cling to things like this, and as a restaurant that's tried takeouts and it hasn't worked, we have beef sales, on a normal day through the restaurant. You just need more to keep going, and this has been wonderful like that. So it's almost a symbiotic, relationship that is developed, and one that we know we'll have to continue with. This is not just a short-term problem. With our unemployment, I heard figures today of more than 10 million. We're going to certainly have to all somehow get involved and dig deep. And this is where we call on other chefs, other restaurants to get involved, and almost start a bartering system where the more we can exchange, the more we can put into pots, the more hungry mouths we can feed.
I wonder, how can people get involved? And it's interesting, you're speaking about this bartering system. How does it work? Do you just simply exchange some of the goods that you've had in stock and try and use them up before they spoil?
Well, it's very interesting. What happened today, for example, I had a chef that phoned me from Tava, and they're feeding about 1,600 people a day. Philippe, who actually started this whole movement, called me and said, "Steve, I've got some oil. Can you help me with milli meal?" So he fetched a couple of bags of milli meal. I phoned my milli meal supplier to get a few more. So wherever we have an excess of a product, we're very happy to share it for the greater good. And the more you do it, the more you just realize how special this opportunity is.
Yeah.
So how people can get involved? There was a need for a used cell phone and airtime, and somebody heard that on radio yesterday, and the next thing, today, someone's helped out there. We've obviously used a lot of gas, so that's where we would be very, very grateful if there were any financial contributions, which can either come through Chefs with Compassion, that's CWC. They've got a little button on their website, so you can donate there, or any one of the restaurants. Local growers where I'm based, and we've been really, really well supported. So that's allowed us to continue. But we have to keep the lights on, and food is one thing. But the wonderful teams we have here, not everyone's volunteers. Our own staff, need to be supported. So they're working for almost nothing. So I'm really proud to say that we've been able to keep this thing going, and we hope that it will continue for a long time.
All right. Well, it's absolutely a great initiative, and also shows the kind of innovation that crisis can breed. Stephen, let's leave it there for tonight. And he's with Chefs with Compassion.